Hey folks, I thought I would quickly demonstrate how to matrix an MS stereo recording into a normal left-right recording. So first, maybe a little reminder of how an MS recording is achieved. You need two microphones for that. One which can actually be any polar pattern, technically. It can be anything from omni all the way to figure eight. And that microphone faces your sound source. So its capsule is at a 0-degree angle in regards to the sound source. And then you need a figure eight microphone, also known as bicardioid. And the convention is that the front lobe will be facing the left side of your sound source, and the rear lobe will be facing to the right of your sound source. So again, a middle microphone, hence the M for MS, a middle microphone which is at 0 degrees, faces your sound source, and a bicardioid, a figure eight microphone, which is your S for side signal, with the front lobe 90 degrees left of your sound source and the rear lobe 90 degrees right of your sound source. So when you import this kind of audio recording into your favorite DAW, it's perfectly normal, therefore, to have something that will, if you hit play immediately, sound very strange. Because you have one side which is feeding your left ear, which is your M signal, which is quite clean, quite a direct signal, quite well defined. And then what's hitting your right ear is quite mushy, low in level, not well defined, etc. So how can we transform this into a left-right recording, into a left-right audio output? Well, we could, of course, use a plugin. There are ample plugins out there, free ones, in fact, that can do that. And a lot of times that's it. That's the plugin. It will simply automatically, here it goes, versus when it's bypassed and when it's not bypassed. Right, so there's absolutely no settings there. Some of them might throw in a pot, which allows you to immediately also adjust the stereo width. So this is what this particular pot does right here. But instead of showing you with a plugin, I want to show you how the plugin actually works, what it's doing behind your back to achieve that left-right signal. So I'm going to remove it. And what we need to do, what the plugin does behind your back, is it manipulates the S signal separately from the M signal. So I can't really do that easily on a stereo track. So I'm going to instead create two mono audio tracks. I mean, all of this could be done using aux sends, etc., but I want to make it nice and easy to understand, to see what I'm doing. I'm going to rename my tracks M and S. There. And I'm going to re-import that MS recording now on two separate mono tracks. So in fact, now I'm able to actually solo just the M signal. And what I was describing earlier, that mush, because neither of your lobes on the figure eight is facing the sound source, you're facing the side walls of the room or whatever environment you're in. So that's going to be also softer in level. right? So what does the plugin do? Well, what it does is it duplicates the side signal. So again, I could do this with an aux, but I feel that it's much better to follow what I'm doing by simply duplicating the track, right? So I've named this one S prime. So it's exactly the same as my S signal so far. Let's have a look at the mixer. What does the plugin do with now these three signals? Well, the M signal is kept dead center. The original S signal is panned full left. And the duplicate is panned full right. Again, so far, nothing special is going to happen because duplicating a signal and panning one to one side, the other to the other side, will just give you exactly the same thing. The two signals are 100% correlated, therefore they'll appear dead center. So here's the trickery. The trickery is that the duplicate, which is panned full right, that's the convention, by the way, has its polarity flipped. So some people call that button phase invert. I prefer to call it polarity invert or polarity flipped. You'll find that switch on pretty much any EQ. I'm using here Trim, which is a very lightweight plugin when I just need to do that. And now the magic's going to operate. Yeah, between, let me not activate it. This is the before. And the after. Cherry on the cake, what does the plugin do? Again, behind your back, it will most likely gang the two side signals. I've just created a quick group here because if the plugin offers stereo width manipulation, which is what that fader does here, effectively what it's doing is it's changing the proportion between the M signal and the side components, right? So if all the elements are played back at the original level, then you get the original stereo image, the one that you would get if you had all other things being equal, if you had a ORTF, let's say, or an XY at the same position. Actually, an XY is a better comparison because here this is coincident stereo recording. There is no phase component until we introduce that phase flip here, that polarity invert. So if I wanted to adjust the stereo width, for instance, if I found that the stereo width was too wide, which it's not, if we have a look here at our gonioscope, the shape here is actually not too alarming. It's not spherical. And in fact, this is very fancy. All you actually need is a good old phase meter here. As long as that dot doesn't go towards the left-hand side there, as long as it stays around here, you've got a decent stereo image. So let's say you find that this stereo image is a bit too wide. Well, simply wind back the side component. That's what a MS matrixing plugin with a stereo width pot does. And as I just did towards the end, if you remove the side component entirely, then you are indeed left with a full mono signal. Our phase indicator here is stuck at +1, which is normal. Right? As you reintroduce this side component, then you're reintroducing width. And of course, then you could go the other way. You could start removing the mid component. Notice how this would already be a big no-no for a vinyl pressing. And if we go fully keeping only the side component, then we're going to get a nice flat line here, and the phase is just going to go full berserk. So that sounds very weird on headphones, a bit less weird on speakers, but there we go. So what I just did by modifying the ratio between the mid and side signal, I can do exactly the same thing. This is what any stereo width adjuster does when you slap it onto a left-right, a standard stereo signal. First, it creates a sum and difference. It matrixes the signal into an MS, and then it offers you the ability to change the ratio between the M and S components. And then it does what I've been doing in this little demo here. It rematrixes the modified MS components back into a left-right stereo signal, which is achieved by doing that trickery of a duplicate side signal, the original pan full left, and the polarity flipped one pan full right. I insist again, you can use MS matrixing to adjust the stereo width on any signal. You do not have to start off with an MS recording to do that. Another day, I will maybe show you how to, without letting the plugin do that automatically for you, I might show you how to go from a left-right signal to an MS signal. All right, that's all for me now. Thanks for watching.